Hello everybody, this is Monday Nights Get Nuked. We are doing Rotten near Ooze Town. I am thirsty, I shall be the world and all the strange and wonderful beings within it. And down here you can see all my lovely crew. Aren't they so wonderful? They're all here. And they won't be shopping. So, for all of you who are going, what's this Rotten near Ooze Town lark? Well, in our main campaign we have this wonderful group of fellows, wonderful pair of ladies and this horrible ratty fella who follows them, wandering through a lovely place called Ooze Town. But on occasion we have to answer questions like, how did they get there? And what did they do on the way? And what would Zeke do for a pint? Now these questions have traditionally been answered in these shows, so today we shall answer that burning question of what was Timi doing before she got beaten up in that pub? And as such, we shall be joining them at sea on a boat with the Salties. Yeah. So, without further ado, who are you people? Who are you playing? What's going on?
Hello, I am Spaz, and I am playing Timi. I'm looking forward to finding out what happened to her. She was in the later episodes, or earlier episodes, depending on how you're watching this, deaf, but in this one she is not, and what led up to her being clonked over the head.
Yeah. So yes, and in a slight change to the norm, Lilth, who the hell are you?
I'm Lilth, and I'm going to be playing Floor, who I believe is a salty.
What kind
And
of salty
human.
is Fleur?
She's a very short human.
She's a very short human. Well, that's a
Very
change,
short
playing a human.
Yes, yeah, makes a change.
Yeah. So what sort of things does Fleur like to do?
Shooting stuff and mending stuff.
Now that sounds like a solid skill set. I dare say she's very useful among those who ply their lives at sea.
I believe so. Yes.
Excellent. And now, in a return to regular scheduling, Eivor, who are you? What are you doing?
I'll be I'm Eivor. I'll be playing Jerry, the human salty preacher.
Jerry? But isn't Jerry a scuzzle?
Well, names have to come from somewhere.
True enough. So you'll be playing some kind of religious man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. What does Jerry the religious man spend the rest of his time doing?
Alongside his religious activities, he's also a bit of gun nut.
Oh. Well, everyone
Slightly
knows
short.
guns and Bibles go together fantastically. So yeah. So, we will find Timi, Jerry and Fleur aboard the Beer and Beaches, that wonderful salty vessel that we saw a few episodes back. Yeah. Alright. We're going to do the chat rules out loud as well, are we? Alright. I have just been reminded that we have to do the chat rules out loud as well. So, here are some rules for chat for all of you people out there in Chatland. Don't be a tool about someone's race. Don't be a tool about someone's gender. Do not be a tool. Just don't.
Or a screwdriver.
Or a screwdriver. So, as previously stated, we join this group of strange people of assorted statures and beliefs on a ship at sea, just off the coast of Holmbush. Indeed. A screwdriver is a tool. But yeah. So, we're off the coast of Holmbush on the Beeren Beaches, where the captain, the new captain at that, Faraday O'Hara, has just had you pulled into the bridge, which is unusual to say the least. Now, like all salty captains, she is physically bound to the wheel of this ship. She cannot leave. So, whatever she might have been planning to do is now down to you. And as such, we shall move into the scene. So, there you are, on the bridge, the glorious bridge of the Beeren Beaches. A medium-sized vessel, not too large. By salty standards, fairly new. And there are about half a dozen people at various stations around the bridge, doing busy, bridgy things that you don't quite understand. They're looking at pinging screens and divining the tides on charts and things. Some of them have like little incense sticks burning and are praying to the gods of mud and tide. It all seems very esoteric and religious, but there in front of you, bound to the wheel, hand and foot, is the captain, Faraday O'Hara, who until recently was actually the ship's mechanic. And those of you who watch the show regularly will know that I do not have a woman's voice, and so I will attempt to approximate one maybe if I feel courageous, which I don't. So you're here then. Let's hear you. Hello? Speak when you're spoken to, come on.
Aye, Captain. Came as ordered. What can and Jerry will look to both sides to see who's been dragged in with him. What can we do for you?
Well, if you look over yonder to the shore, you'll see that something sticking up out of the ground over there. You see it? And
Aye.
points onto the horizon, and you can clearly see something very large protruding from the horizon, in the manner of a sort of long tube, easily large enough to sort of float the boat down.
Aye, what is it?
Well, I think a man like you could understand that. That's a cannon. Biggest damn cannon we ever seen.
Something like that won't be working now for sure.
Well, that's what we thought. But we've lost some ships in this area, and well, the old salt captains, they tasked me with getting rid of it. But this was obviously before the old fella went and popped his clogs. So now we'll be needing some new fellas. Well, a fella and two fine skilled ladies to deal with it. Expendable like.
When you say deal with it, do you mean destroy or bring it back?
She raises an eyebrow and looks at this thing. It is easily larger than any ship that you've ever sailed on. Yeah, it is a concrete and steel tube of maybe 100 feet or more. Yeah. Easily 15 feet in circumference. Easily. I mean, that's just guessing from all the way out here. The thing's been bolstered a lot. In fact, if one was to know the area in real life, they would know that there's a power station there with a very large chimney. That I've always thought looked rather like the barrel of a gun. But anyway.
You want this
Yes.
thing destroyed.
Damn right. Yeah. And for that, I went ahead and developed that. And she points across through the windows of the bridge, down onto the very front of the ship, where hanging in like a reinforced net over the ship by a sort of a crane arm, which you've used hundreds of times for salvage, is a bundle, a large bundle of smooth grey objects. So that. Now, I won't lie. It's not the most stable thing that ever I made, but I'll get the job done. So I'm going to need you to go and take the launch and deal with that in a night's time. So we've got, deniability.
When you say not stable.
I mean, boom.
Okay.
I mean, you know what we do here. And for the record, what they do here is they envelop new and innovative ways of killing things. Primarily. Engines too, but mainly weapons. The Beer and Beaches is a research vessel for salvaging or building things that are too dangerous to have near the salt cities. So yeah, I need you to take the launch and head ashore. Now, naturally, we'll kit you up as mud divers. Don't you worry. The sanctified salts will be rubbed into the oilskins, and you won't have to worry about the demons of mud and tide. But that's what we need done.
When you say boom, what might trigger this thing?
Well, rather famously, gunfire. Rough handling. Touching the deck of a ship at sea.
So don't drop it then.
No. No, that would definitely be a bad idea.
Okay. And how far away from the boat does this need to go boom for people to stay safe?
Oh no, you need to go there. All the way over there.
Mm-hmm. And then how far back do we need to come back to the boat to be safe?
I wouldn't hang around.
Okay.
It's all... It's all very complicated. I mean, it goes boom. That's all you need to know. Don't be there.
At this point, we are on the bridge with the captain.
Yep.
Are there any of the captain's sort of personal effects around her?
Yes, the captain lives on the bridge.
Okay. What would we be able to see easily at that point?
Well, there is a chair. A very large, comfortable chair. For her to sort of sag into at day's end. There are a number of bottles. Presumably a bucket of some kind. And a rather well-appointed table with some rather delicious food upon. And, of course, the choicest of drinks.
But no sort of personal items. Something that might be of value to.
Well, the captain's part of the ship. Not a person.
Okay.
And the captain is the soul of the ship.
I guess we ought to be to it, if that's Captain's orders.
Yes. As a religious man, Jerry, you know that the demons of sand and mud are particularly violent. People who go to the land don't tend to come back. No.
Don't suppose you'll be having anything to assist with keeping the demons at bay, would you? It's not for a man like me to head to those shores, but captain's orders are captain's orders.
Yep, Mudside, it is for you. And she softens for a moment, and she shows sort of a look of steely determination on her face this whole time. But she accepts what you're saying. Give me a manipulation.
Okay. Manipulation. That's with charisma, yes?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Is that a yummy
That's what I
crit?
say.
Fuck yes. She softens. She raises one hand and one of the elders comes over from one of the consoles, and it's a dude positively dripping in like scrap metal and little like gewgaws and random little objects, little cogs on chains and stuff. And you recognise him as one of the rust masters. Normally they don't come above deck, but there's one on the bridge. And he comes over and he takes from around his neck a huge, like, woven object, like a mantle, made of sort of rusty metal and fishing like net and things like that. And he lifts it over his head and he places it upon. He probably just flops it over. Everything that was on the outside is now on the inside. And just flops it over your head. And Christ, this thing's heavy.
Well,
But it does provide you with a single point of armour to your chest.
Blessed be your salt and sea, Captain.
Blessed be of salt and sea. And the Rustmaster dips his fingers into a little vial of rusty like oil and like smears it on your face. And fuck it, why not? You get a +1 against against exposure. Why not? Because you earnestly believe this will help. This is a literal iteration of the placebo effect. And if at any point you fail an exposure save, it stops working. Yeah. Is there anything else the other two of you want to beg off the captain while you're here? Any way you think you could, weasel anything out of the most powerful person you know?
So Timmy's going to kind of sidle up to the table and say, Captain, I've heard it gets really cold over Mudside. Do you think you could lend us maybe a bottle of rum to keep us warm and remind us of the ship while we're away?
Of course, One from the captain's table, and she picks up the smallest, most desultory bottle of rum you've ever seen, and says, "Don't hold it near flames." And it's properly like a little like hotel sampler bottle, like recorked with an actual cork. And you notice that where the cork goes into the liquid or touches the liquid, rather than getting darker in the usual traditional fashion, it's bleached white. And the air gap between the cork and the liquid is almost crystalline. It promises to be quite pleasant.
Excellent.
If somewhat permanent.
That's very kind of you, Captain.
Yeah.
And
And
Timi
now,
is going to pocket that.
Yep. And Fleur, anything we can do for you?
Fleur is just gonna stand there and salute. She's not the brightest person. We'll just go, whatever you command, Captain.
Good. Get the fuck out of my sight. And yes, you're ushered from the bridge by the poor swabby who dragged you in here.
On our way off the ship, is there anyone by any chance mending nets?
No, this is not a fishing boat. You are brought round along like that. There's a small flat area in front of the bridge, which is where traditionally the salvage crane puts things. In the middle, in the most stable part of the boat. This bit's mainly empty because people are getting ready to go salvaging. They're going to bugger off while you're doing this. And you're met by Pusa. And you know Pusa. He's probably been on this boat longer than the rest of you have been alive. He's not quite an elder, probably because, well, he doesn't have quite the same approach to the salty religion as everyone else. He pretty much just believes as long as you drink enough, nothing bad happens. Which is fine. Apart from when something bad happens because he's been drinking. And he's manning the crane. And he just looks down at you and says, "Need a boat?" "Yep."
We're to go on Mudside.
Mudside, is it? Oh shit! Yeah, you're gonna need a good boat. And he uses one of the other pulleys on the main crane arm to secure you one of the good boats that are hanging off over the sides. It's all right. It's not a bad boat. It's not the nicest you've ever seen. He lifts it up, and some swabbies come along. They attach the back of the boat to the pulley arm as well, so you now have a boat hanging Titanic fashion. And right, this is the tricky bit. And he manipulates the large net full of large silvered objects into the boat, and he lowers it to about 3 feet off of the deck. You're right. Hop in. Time for you to go. You'll find everything you need in there. And you see Swabby's chucking like bound up bags of crap in there.
Okay. Jerry will turn to his companions and say, "Best be off then, I guess. Orders is orders." And climb into the boat.
Yes. Upon Jerry climbing into the boat, you can actually hear audible sighs from some of the men and women about the decks. He's leaving. They're not happy. He's leaving on a dangerous mission, Mudside. And their hearts ache for him. But yeah, do you all hop in, or do you just leave Jerry there and go, "You know what, we were ordered to, but fuck it. Come on."
Yeah, so I think Timmy's grown up on boats, so she's not quite as worried about climbing into the boat, so she's just going to kind of hop off the side and hop straight in.
Okay, and Fleur?
Yeah, Fleur's going to get in. She's going to eye that net, though.
Okay. Yeah.
Going to get as far away from the net as possible.
Okay, yeah. Fleur's going to go right at the front of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pusa hoiks it back up to about sort of 7 feet above the deck and turns it round. and he swings you out over the side of the ship, so you're out over the water on the landward side. He goes, "Glad I don't have to go." And without ado, he just releases the pulleys. The boat hits the water. It creaks rather alarmingly, and you think, "Fuck, what's in there? That's explosive." But no, nothing's happened. And you sort of almost as soon as the boat sort of rights itself, and you sit there bobbing for a few moments, the Beer and Beaches fires up its rather large, impressive engines and beats it the fuck out of there before whoever's manning this cannon sees them. So here you are, bobbing in a little boat. You've got oars, you've got a little engine, you have 3 bundles and a big net full of something you've been told goes boom.
Laura's going to have a look at the bundles.
The bundles, as far as you can tell, are basically like oil skins. They're special sanctified oil skins of the mud divers, those who have to go ashore. They're quite thick. They're very resilient. They're like crusted with like sacred salts and oils to keep out all of that nasty radiation and locals. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a dry suit. It's somewhere between like a dry suit and the sort of thing you'd wear in Alaska, traditionally. So yeah, you might want to put it on. You've heard that going ashore without one will almost definitely result in your banishment. So
yeah, Fleur puts it on.
Yeah, cool.
Jerry, seeing what these bundles are, will most definitely do anything he can to keep the devils of the mudside at bay. So we'll too slide one of these on.
Excellent. But
Timmy
wasn't born among the Salties.
No.
She spent time with them. Do you bother with the oilskins?
Timmy is going to put one of them on, but is going to tweak it slightly, so it's going to like roll up the sleeves a little bit, put the collar up. More stylish.
Not put the hat on, like not deal with like the hood lacing.
Yeah.
You're just putting on a coat and some waterproof trousers.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, you put all that on, and you know the drill. Who's manning the engine? Who's steering?
I suppose if there are no other volunteers, Jerry will begrudgingly head that way and
Excellent.
move carefully.
It gives Jerry an opportunity to be further away from the bomb. Fleur's at the other end of the boat, so probably not so handy. But yeah, Timmy's left in the middle with a pair of oars and one person. Like, thanks. Hey, you can probably use both. And once you get closer to shore, you're probably going to want to. But yeah, it's sort of it's sort of late afternoon, early evening as you putter on into the shore. So you're about 100 meters from the shore now, and you've been puttering along. How are you going to approach the shore? Are you just going to, thwack on in under full engine and hope no one listens? Are you going to, run out the sweeps and edge your way in?
Is there anywhere we can see that would possibly give us a little bit of cover as we go?
Well, this all depends on how you want to approach. I mean, you are currently 100 metres away from the land. I mean, you can sail directly at the cannon if you really wanted. I mean, it's a profoundly bad idea, but you could. I mean, the way that the tides have been going, you've actually been sort of drifting further away. off to the west, and you can see there's like a sheltered river inlet and lots of ruined buildings. Like, if you were to go upriver a little way, you know, I mean, you don't know who's there, but it's probably better than leaving a boat on the coast to be seen.
For reference, of how big is the boat that we're in? Is it sort of a dinghy, or is it?
It's sort of like a long rowing boat.
Okay.
No, it's a proper, like, it's a ship-sized lifeboat.
So in theory, we could sort of bring it up on ground and overturn it.
Oh, yeah.
Disguise it a bit.
I'm not sure what you could disguise like a 10-man rowing boat as, but, you know, you could try. Like a small hut, you know, the roof of a submerged tiki bar.
I guess if you put it into the plank and put some of the mud and sand and stuff over the top, it would just look like a lump of.
Sorry, not a lot of that came through.
Sorry. If you put like mud and stuff, and like any rubbish that we found.
Oh yeah, you could cover it with dross and it would just look like a heap of dross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Conceivably. I mean, it would be like a 15-foot long heap of dross, but fair enough. Yeah.
I think wanting to spend the least amount of time on land and directing the ship as we go, directing the rowboat as we go, Jerry would head as close as he reckoned was sensible to the cannon before cutting the engine and rowing us to shore.
Right. As you approach, basically, the cannon is off to your east on a spit of land that actually sticks out to sea. As you go west, there is a sheltered river inlet with another spit of land coming out on the other side. So you're in a sort of a bay. And off to the east, there is sort of an artificial lock system. It sounds at some point had like a port. But if you were to go off to the west, you could go up river a little bit. You could, you know, you can see a bridge from where you are. You could chuck your dinghy in under the bridge. Conceivably.
That makes sense, yeah.
If you really wanted to, you could like drag it up on land and try and hide it somewhere. But it would be a bit of a drag for 3 people.
So I was going to point at the bridge and go, maybe we should head there.
Right. Right, so being that we don't have like a pilot rivercraft, I'm gonna go on your character's basic knowledge skills for this. So, if in any way you feel you can help, Eivor is driving, so Eivor, give me your knowledge. You're trying to navigate your way up a river. Something that someone who lives at sea isn't famously good at doing.
Okay, there we go. Knowledge is a 4 plus 5, 9.
Yeah, you get like a dozen meters before you hit a sandbank. But it's only a small one, and you sort of skip over it. But you're aware that the boat has sort of left the water and slid up and slid back down the other side. You're probably going a bit fast.
Having lived on land, would Timi conceivably be able to point Jerry in the right direction?
You could possibly use the oars to like try and gauge the depth, but you're halfway down the boat. So by the time you've like accurately gauged the depth, it's already a problem. Like, you could possibly use the oars to try and like edge your way along if you get beached.
Can Fleur just keep a lookout at the front?
Yes, that is absolutely
Point
what Fleur can do while being terrified of the bomb. So yes, you can perception it all you want.
Oh,
Perception and knowledge if you want. You are trying to survive in hostile boating conditions.
That is a 13.
13.
Mhm.
Yeah, you think you know. Oh, you bugger. You've just moved again. Right, well, that's blown the surprise. We have a guest who turned his goddamn camera off and then ran away. So, there we are. We will have a guest who will at some point recur because he's currently run away. But hey, apparently we shall continue as is, having blown the surprise. So, you think you know where you're going, you think it's going alright, until the engine sort of goes thud.
As I'm currently manning the engine, Jerry will look over the side and like, oh bloody hell, what's gone wrong now? And sort of have a look to see whether he can see what's been hit or what's gone wrong.
It looks like the engine has just run out of fuel. You weren't intended to you weren't intended to use the engine to get all the way up river. All this futzing around at low speed has used more fuel than you thought.
Okay. So we're going to need to use our oars.
But fortunately, you're not too far away from the bridge. You know.
It's fine. So I hand an oar to Jerry. And say, yeah. So come on then. We've got no fuel left. It's down to you and me. Fleur, are you going to navigate?
Yep.
Excellent. You navigate your way through the sort of the increasingly like muddy, sort of silty slope until you basically hit like a V-shaped runnel and run aground. But you can walk from here. That's fine. You're basically under the bridge. You're pretty sheltered. And there's even, luckily, a low wall at this point. And there's what appears to be like a paved, like an open paved area behind what looks like an old pub.
Is there anywhere to tie the boat to?
Well, the boat's currently run aground on a large bank of silt, so it's probably not going anywhere. Especially as you are coming in at high tide.
Okay.
It's just a river that hasn't been desilted in decades. So yeah, this is about security. You can pull it up a bit further if you really want, but that's it. What are you guys doing now?
Well, Timmy's going to get out of the boat.
Okay. What are you going to do with the silvery object?
How
The
heavy
package.
is the package?
The package is probably no heavier than like a scuba tank. It's like a heavy rucksack. Now, you wouldn't necessarily want to run a marathon wearing it on your back. It's got straps for wearing on your back. There are two of them. There are two tanks, and they're different colours. And there is a pipe sticking out the top, which is quite clearly meant to be screwed into the other pipe.
Okay. And if we wore these on our backs, how conspicuous would they be?
Fairly. I mean,
Okay. What about under the coats?
I'm not even entirely sure they would fit under the coats. I mean, this is sort of the equivalent of trying to hide a fire extinguisher up the front of your jumper. I mean, it might, but you wouldn't want to run anywhere doing it.
Okay. So, there's 2 of them. There's 3 of us.
Yep.
Who's going to wear them?
Fleur is backing away, jumping out that boat and getting well away from those things.
Okay. Yes. Having taken the 2 tanks out, you notice that there is a third object in this net, and it's a box. It's sort of dark brushed metal. You know, it's clearly of salty make. You know, it's made from sort of the shell of an old radio. And on the front, it has a big, happy-looking digital timer on it, and a sort of like a volume knob, and a button which is still labelled play, which someone apparently has nicked off of a Walkman. An old plastic button with the little ridge on.
Jerry, still being in the boat, will haul this net sort of to one side and lower it down onto the sill. But rather than climb out, we'll stare at the silt, almost angry that it's there and not water. Because Jerry's never been woodside before.
Yeah. Okay. As you're standing here next to your boat, just over a short, over sort of like a 4-foot wall from what was clearly at some point a pub garden, you hear a noise. Something's moving. Something big. Something that appears to be humming a tune to itself. Baylor. Hello. Look, everyone. We've got a Baylor.
Hello.
So, you have been living quite happily in this abandoned pub for a couple of weeks now. You know, it's quite comfortable. It's got a nice cellar for when folks come a calling. Someone appears to have crashed a boat into your garden.
I hear this after finish setting up the table and making sure that the forks and knives and spoon are on the correct side, and I hear this crash, and I just stroll on over and sort of before entering and exiting out the door, I look through, I guess, the kitchen window that looks out into the garden.
Okay. Yeah. Well, looking out the kitchen window, you see 3 people climbing out of a boat that's just the other side of your garden wall. They appear to be sort of swathed in like heavy-looking sort of skins, with odd crusty sort of bits on them, sort of bound up with like bits of string to keep them tight to the body. It's all a bit irregular.
I put one hand in my lab coat just to be sure, and I sort of walk outside, and I look out in yonder and I say, "Is there something I can help you with?"
At which point you see quite quickly Jerry unsling his rifle and
Excellent.
aim it forwards. Enough to aim the cider.
Baylor, what does Jerry see when he looks up and hears someone saying? So hears someone giving a pleasant greeting.
He sees a very a 7'6" post genetic male that weighs about 22 stone, wearing sort of what seems to be. He's very tall, but he's also very skinny and lanky. He's kind of like, it's got a very Usain Bolt kind of build to it, where it's track and field muscular, but it's not beefy. And you see him sort of wearing what seems to be laboratory gear, like not for like checking out hazardous stuff, but more just in the sense of doing general research and studies and whatnot. And then you see him when the rifle is pointed towards him, still grinning, just calmly, just pulling out a grenade, just trying to shake it at them, saying, "I wouldn't recommend this."
So yes, here before you, you have a 7'6" post-gen who weighs approximately 22 stone, holding a grenade, smiling at you.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. What are you doing here in my garden?
At which point you guys notice that the silt you're standing on at some point has been seeded.
It took me 4 days to learn how to plant those damn things.
There's something a little bit like a cabbage, you notice, sticking out from underneath your boat.
I have to redo the stew all over again. What are you doing here?
Did you not think planting near the seawater was a bad idea?
I'm not a gardener. I'm a scientist. I don't know anything better. I thought it was effective. It's near water. Plants need water. Ergo, by the sea.
But it's the sea. It's the sea.
I'm not necessarily the best of chemics. But what do you want? What are you doing here?
We got a little bit diverted. We thought that the bridge was probably a good place to head for. You seem like a reasonable chap. Let's see if we can sort out your... I'm not sure. I'm just going to pick up a couple of the cabbagey looking things. These things.
I put the grenade that I pulled out from my lab coat in the breast pocket just to be safe. Point that away from me, as well as I indicate to Eivor that like I don't want the gun pointing at me, please.
What do you think, Timi? You used to be one of these.
Well, he looks like a post-gen. Doesn't sound like a post-gen. He's wearing a lab coat. It's not quite what we'd expect, but he seems okay, and it's... The things over here, they're not as bad as you think. There are worse things at sea.
Quite. Like sharks. Would you care for a little bit of shelter? And I sort of gesture at the door that I have to, like, that's like 2 feet shorter than me.
Jerry will lower the rifle, but still sort of... He won't re-sling it, it will still be in hand. We've got things to do, unfortunately. We can't stay in whatever that is. And at this point, Jerry is still not taking any motions to get onto dry land from the boat, as if it was some sort of safety net.
Timi's going to take one of the bigger contraptions and kind of put it on, just on one shoulder.
Okay. Baylor, give me a knowledge check. You should be on your... Or an explosives. Either.
Let's see. I'll give a knowledge check. Let's see. Where is that?
At the bottom.
At the very bottom. Yes, that's right. And I roll d6 for that, or
D12.
D12. So it is +5. Okay, so 10 + 5, 15.
Yeah. This definitely looks like a component for a fuel air bomb. These guys are definitely hauling a large bomb.
Oh. So, that does not seem like a safe thing to bring on a boat. Could you elaborate what you're doing with that bomb, please, while it's near my tavern?
We're transporting it. It's in pieces. It's not going to go boom.
Do I know for a fact it's gonna go boom either way, whether the components are fully together or not?
As you watch them sort of pick these things up, 2 of the 3 components definitely look like they could go boom.
Yeah, I don't think it really needs to be fully put together to blow things up. That is one thing I for sure know. I would say be very gentle with that, and I don't think this is a safe area. What are you trying to do with these bombs? Where did you even get these things?
They are part of collector's set.
A collector's set? Fine china?
Spanish,
Well,
that's definitely going to require some kind of manipulation. Lying through the teeth.
I don't really need to argue either way. They're both the same. Okay. Oh, now you're not human, so that one doesn't count. So that's going to make it an 11.
Do I roll something to counteract that, or
You can, yeah. You can roll manipulate intelligence if you want.
okay? Let's see. Okay, I will roll an intellect. Alright, fair enough.
That's right. Someone else has
So
used
that-
the correct word for the stat in the system I wrote. There we are.
Yay. So intellect, so that's 21, so that's gonna be
What the
plus-
frig?
So I don't know what that's plus what?
Your intellect is 21, so it's a bonus of 2.
Okay, got it. That's a 6. I think that is a very impressive collector set. Must be-
Yeah, it's what she's saying. It doesn't seem quite right, but there are collectors for most things.
I've always, oh wow, the collector set. I kept asking my mom to like keep buying it for me for Christmas, but she kept saying no. Jealous. But
Yeah.
all right, well, it's a weird thing that you're bringing your collector set along with you. I guess.
I mean,
There's
you
not
are aware
much.
this is still a bomb, but apparently this
Yeah.
is a collector's set of bombs.
So a collector set of bombs. This is something where this is, I guess, a collectible thing from the black market. What is this?
No. We got it legitimately. We are builders and creators of things. Perhaps if we're going inside, you have somewhere we could keep them safe while we go in.
Maybe. I don't know, but mayhaps better than on a boat that rocks. More solid ground, I suppose. Yeah. I would say, can I help you carry the really dangerous stuff? Because you just brought your collector set on a boat, and that could have rocked, and things could have gone awry, and somehow you're alive right now, and we're not dead. So I would like to keep up that pace. If that would be all right.
Which bit are you particularly interested in carrying?
Which is the most blowy up part, Thirsty?
Of the 2 large pressurized cylinders, there is one that is yellow and there is one that is red.
Right.
What you choose to make of that is up to you.
Could I roll another knowledge check to see if I can discern the two?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
give it a go.
I'm trying not to abuse it, but this is something where I'm just like, might be a good idea just to check.
Yeah. Well, you're a scientist and an explosives enthusiast. Why not?
Yeah.
You would know these things.
Yeah. I rolled an 11.
You rolled an 11. You rolled an 11, so you definitely know you rolled an 11. As in on the dice.
No, I'm sorry. 11 total.
Okay, cool.
I rolled a 6 plus 5.
Cool. Yeah, you rolled an 11. You're definitely sure that these are color coded. You don't know what the person who color coded them meant by that.
Oh right. Okay. Okay.
Someone somewhere knew what these meant.
Right.
It was definitely important that they knew, but they haven't written on them what it means.
Freaking scientists. Okay. I would like to carry the red one. Normally the red is red mean bad. So I can handle red. You handle yellow. And we'll meet halfway and go into the tavern. And I proceed to walk and pick up the red. Is it heavy? Or is it just like...
For you, it's not heavy at all. For you, you're 7'6". This probably this looks like you holding like a bottle of water. And it's probably not much heavier than that for you.
Oh, okay.
And for anyone else, it's lugging around a fire extinguisher. But
oh, I see. Okay.
But you're a big fella. So.
Right. Well, I go ahead and just pick up the other one and go like, maybe both. And I just slowly pick up the other one and I said, let's head inside.
Yeah.
And I just sort of gesture at the door and start walking in.
Yes. As your new friend wanders into his tavern, you notice above the door it just says The B. Apparently there were other letters. You can see them broken on the ground, but you don't know what they might have been.
I'm sneaking suspicions. I sort of like look out the door, seeing them just standing there, and go like, well, come on. Don't you want to keep your collector's set? I mean, I don't mind taking it from you if you don't need it anymore. I was just cooking up some pasta. Go on.
So Timi's going to pick up the clock-looking device and head on in.
Yes.
And is Jerry still in the boat?
Presently, yes. It is. He's still in the boat, staring contemptibly at the sill.
So she's going to just like take a look over her shoulder and go, "Oi, come on, whale whisperer, in you come."
Whale whisperer.
What's Fleur doing?
Fleur is kind of stood there looking between everyone, trying to work out what she should do, but she's looking more at Jerry than anyone else.
Oh. Okay, well...
Jerry will tentatively step off the boat, making sort of the laterally accepted symbol for the Lord of the Salton Sea, as he takes his first steps ever onto dry land.
Yeah. Take a mental endurance save.
Mental endurance. That is a 9.
Ooh. Yeah, take a level of suffering. You just cannot get the hang of ground that doesn't move. Like you sprawl around like a drunk, like with your feet on solid land. Like you've been like naturally adjusting for the motion of a boat your entire life. standing on something solid like throws you a loop. You feel drunk.
Wow.
You know, you're swaying in a way that you've never realised you've done, but you've done it all your life. Fleur, were you in the boat or not?
No.
You'd already gone out.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Yeah, after a few moments of similar difficulty, you adapt. You know, it's just the way things is. It's just the way things are. You know, you got out, you were like, oh shit, this is weird. You know, you leant on the wall and you stepped over it.
Kind of do like the long leg step where you're like trying to still get the sleepiness out of it. Like,
Yeah. You know. But yeah, Jerry, you like flop against the wall. Like, you know, you're walking like a drunk. Until further notice. There's no damage involved, but you know, you have a level of suffering because you're just so dizzy.
So as we adjusted the suffering, is it still -1 to all my rolls, or is it just
it's still -1 to all your rolls? You are effectively very drunk. But yeah. So yes, you all have some time in the Bee Tavern to spend. And it's starting to get dark out here. You know, the temperature, which is quite hot during the day, starts to drop. You know, which makes the lit interior of the tavern look all the better. And the smell of what your host seems to consider food is interesting, if not necessarily inviting. But yeah. In you go? Or do you stay in the garden? Or do you sit by the boat all night?
Jerry will stumble his way in. Sort of. Now, if you've ever seen someone that's been severely seasick, that sort of attempting to stay straight but failing miserably and heaving as they go.
Okay. So yeah, you'll get inside the B tavern then, and as you're sitting there, you know, you're all together. You notice in the pregnant silence that you haven't asked anyone's names.
I put the two vessels of explosive stuff on the kitchen island, and I gestured to them to the door. We can do formal entries at. If you take that door, that'll be where the main area of the tavern is, where all the tables and chairs are and whatnot. Just pick one. I have one set up somewhere, and I'll just bring out the food if you'd be so kind.
Blair kind of looks around and goes where she's told to go. Heads through the door.
The rest of you doing the same?
Yes, yeah, I think Timi's going to be reasonably comfortable on land, but just kind of wary of her surroundings. Would Timi still have her nail gun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can shoot me?
No, she's just keeping it close to her, based on the fact that she's only just met people.
Yeah. I assume Jerry's going to rumble on into the main room. Probably stumble in just in time for the other two to leave and just be like, oh, we're going in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that manner of the drunken guy who's just vomited in the garden in every single party ever.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you all rumble on into the main room. There is 2 tables and 9 chairs. There are other sort of things that they may once have been tables and chairs, but the decades haven't been kind. They look like someone very large has just sort of kicked them to one side. They don't match. None of these tables and chairs that exist now match. They've probably been scavenged from the buildings nearby. One appears to have been made from scratch, out of table. There is a chair that has been made out of bits of table. It looks like it might support easily someone who weighs sort of 20 stone or more. Now, it's considerably higher than the other chairs.
Jerry's just going to find somewhere to sit and adjust to the feeling of no swaying underfoot.
Okay. So yes. Oh yeah, you walk in and you immediately flop into the closest chair, which is one of those absolutely vacuous bar stools that has like a bucket seat on top that never seems to be entirely stable and spins slightly, but not all the way. The ones that are in all those bars that you hate.
Oh man.
Yeah. The one that have the little foot bar that's always a bit too
I know
high.
exactly the one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not quite high enough to need a foot bar. So it just hits you in the back of the ankle.
The struggle's so real. Frustrates me where you can't turn 360.
Yeah. So there you are. You sit in a horrible, horrible chair that probably helps, actually, because it's so horribly unstable. You feel at home slightly. What about Timi and Fleur?
So Timmy's going to kind of have a look around the room and say, so you own the tavern? Is this open to other people?
Before I entered with them, I wanted to actually ask a question real quick, which was, could I roll a craft check to see if I can make a successful dinner?
Yes.
Awesome.
Most definitely.
Okay, the for context, is what I'm trying to make is like spaghetti and like vegan meatballs. Because there's not really much in the way of like meat, and I try to preserve the meat.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna try to roll craft for this. It's pretty alright. 13.
The pasta that you've tried to make with the pasta machine that you found, is an insult to all pastas everywhere. It's sort it's sort of gooey and it's sort of lumpy. It's halfway between sort of an extended gnocchi and like a tagliatelle. But the meatballs are alright.
Hey!
You know,
so
they're more sort of also like compacted salad, but they're alright. They taste nice.
I take one noodle string that is like, I guess, a makeshift noodle string, and I just taste it real quick to make sure that even though it doesn't look like pasta, it just tastes like pasta at least.
It's got a sort of wholemeal bready sort of texture. It's all right. It's not what you were expecting, but you know, you've eaten worse.
All right, I throw a dash of pepper in it just to, like, I guess, spice it up.
Okay,
hey!
you squander the last of your precious supply of pepper.
Alright, fair enough. And I grab, a basket of dinner rolls, and I walk in, and with a server tray, and I walk in, and I heard you, like, I just hear over your question, and I go like, yeah, I own it. I have some travelers that visit time, or just sort of they come and go, and you know, something to do here. It doesn't seem like things are gonna get better anytime soon, so let's play the waiting game. And I slowly like serve out the plates and put the dinner roll basket in the middle of the table, and I find my chair and have a seat with them, and then just like eagerly like push up, and I go, so. Who are you?
Do you see that? That's what it's like when a player asks someone what their name is. He's been on the show like less than an hour and a half, and he's done it. These guys, like 13 episodes odd. No, never happened.
We found out Herb's name.
Did you ask him, or did he tell you?
Don't remember.
I think you hired. I think you hired
found
the boy.
name, though. That's the important thing.
Yes.
So it's before or after we sold him? Or hired him?
Purchased
I can't remember
him.
which one did we do. We purchased him, didn't we?
Hired him.
I think you hired him, and he told you his name. But anyway, you've been asked to introduce yourselves.
Yeah. So, Timmy's going to extend a hand. And say, I'm Timmy. I've been with the Salties for a while. But not originally with them. They use my skills.
Do I know the Salties?
Yeah, you'd be aware of them. They sort of they flit up and down the coast and they trade with people, but they famously don't come ashore.
Have I ever traded with one of them? Like for like, I recently got there a couple of weeks ago, so I guess maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have traded with them here.
But I would have seen them before.
Yeah, basically, if you see a boat out at sea, it's normally them.
All right, fair enough.
They're basically the only people who have boats.
Fair enough. Salties. All right. That's seeing one on land is quite a rare treat. So I must put you in the guest book. I've been collecting that, and I sort of actually pull out a small, or what seems like a small book, but it's like kind of like a binder kind of thing, and a pen, just like, if you could please write down your name. I've been trying to keep a track of people. And I sort of hand it off to Timi, and then I go like, "What about you two?"
So we'll kind of look at Timi, and if Timmy's introduced herself, then it must be fine. So she'll just say, "I'm Fleur."
Fleur, nice to meet you. And I extend the hand and let you shake it so that way I don't crush it or anything.
She kind of looks at your hand and reaches out and gingerly shakes.
Right then. You, the one that pointed a gun at me.
I'm Jerry, I suppose.
Jerry Suppose? Fair enough, Jerry Suppose. Nice to meet you. I extend another hand to shake.
He will stare at it for a good long moment and then do nothing.
I reach it back, I grab a dinner roll and put it on your plate and say, "Enjoy."
Timmy is going to elbow Jerry at this point. Manners, man. He's feeding you.
He's a mid-sider though, isn't he?
Yes, seems alright. Yeah. You took me on board.
Yeah, well, that wasn't my choice, was it?
Jesus, man.
Captain's orders are captain's orders. Can't go against that.
Do you say that out loud?
Yeah.
I just kind of give like he said that, like, shit burn. And I just go like, so, well, my name is Dr. Psych. I was a human before, but saw the strengths of post-genetics, and I was interested. And I was trying to figure out how to keep mentality and strength of or just the mentality of a human, but the strength of a post-genetic, and see if I could sort of weave the two together. And spend nobody to test on, so I've only been able to test on myself. So, I mean, I haven't gone too far into it, but it has affected me a little bit. The brain cells are gone. You can tell by keeping grenade in my breast pocket, but I digress. But I think this is a little more interesting apart from this meal, is that you brought something very dangerous and explosive, and you are not keeping it as a collector's set. I have a feeling, though you have put a very convincing twist on it, there might be a little more to that collection. Sometimes a collection can be of use.
What kind of angle is Psyche putting on this? Are you trying to, like, cajole the information from them? Or are you sitting there as a 7'6" dude going, why did you bring bombs in my house?
I'm kind of doing a little bit of both. I'm trying to sort of basically, sometimes, like, I'm trying to do the small talk, but the small talk where people sort of go like, oh, they mean business kind of thing, where they're trying to be good cop, if you will.
Okay, well, you decide for us whether you want that to be a manipulate using your charisma or an intimidate using your strength.
I'm going to go with the intimidate, because that's a 40.
Yeah. You just lean forward, like, you place one meaty fist on the table and we're like, so what?
So
just gently, but there. Knuckles crack.
Yeah. I sort of grab the dinner roll and I sort of morph it more into a ball, just very tough, and then flatten it and then just take a bite. And then I also eat one of the meatballs whole. I don't know, whatever. So let's see here. So when the total has two numbers, do I add those together? Just double check.
That's you use the first one.
Okay, got you.
It's the different stats you can use for
it. 14.
Yeah, he this man is convincing and kind of worrying.
Like a big friendly giant.
Like a big friendly giant who's deciding possibly not to be friendly anymore.
Well,
contingent upon your answer.
Innocent until guilty.
That might be a reason for us having the components. Out of interest, why are you here on your own?
At this point, there is an earth-shaking boom. Through the back windows of this building onto the river, you can see a bright flash of light, and then it all dies down.
Am I familiar with it? I've been here for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, this happens. This happens every few days.
Alright.
But this is that, this bloody thing on the seafront. Someone's lent this whacking great thing over, and I keep firing it out to sea. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
People tend to leave the area.
It's just whatever. It's just noises. People partying, probably. What? So you have a reason for the explosives?
Yes. What was the noise?
There's a thing that keeps every so often just sort of shooting out. People tend to evacuate a little bit here and there. Hasn't affected me.
But what's it shooting at?
Parts of the town, the area. Goes way off.
It's shooting at the town.
Isn't it?
It has. It doesn't tend to most of the time.
Yeah.
It tends to shoot out to sea.
Tends to shoot out also at sea, well, which is why I haven't been too worried.
That might be why we're concerned. Mainly because we live at sea.
That is a factor I did not account for, yes. That's, is that something that... Ooh, you have explosives. There's a big thing attacking you at sea. slowly put the dots together. Is explosive thing for thing that's attacking you with thing to kill thing, which is your home?
Yeah, we'd quite like it to stop shooting us. That would be.
Okay. That's fine.
And
it's annoying. Kill the noise. 5 more people.
1 more explosion, and then you're done. Peace and quiet. People come back.
I get some spare parts. I can work on some more better pasta machines or whatever so desire. Maybe sprucing up the tavern a little bit. That's fine. I can help out. Might need a little bit of an explosive expert.
And Timi looks at Fleur and Jerry. We could do with a hand. And he has big hands.
We got 2. It's very big.
By now, you can notice through any and all windows that remain intact, and even those that don't, there is a great deal of smoke. A huge amount of smoke. Almost like a full-blown sea mist. Just drifting past.
What's the aroma? And am I familiar with it?
The aroma would definitely be that of sort of recently burned gunpowder, cordite, controlled explosives.
Right. Alright, so I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty serious one. And I are there fans?
I very much doubt there would be fans. You might have splashed on putting some oiled cloth over the holes where the windows were at some point. Right. No, you can just about see through it, but it keeps the smoke out.
Oh, okay. So just go ahead and.
You can smell this, and you can see it through any windows that remain, but it's not a problem inside the bar.
Fair enough. Yeah. I just sort of put another coat on it just real quick, just to make sure that it doesn't seep through too much. And I go well, maybe sooner better than later. So it's up to you. You can finish your meal and then we can head out. I'm all packed. I usually have a sort of prepared traveler's kit that allows me to just sort of leave if I need to go scavenging for the next venture, and or you can stay the night. We have the best of living situations at the moment. They only have really to focus on me, but this is a safe floor.
I would reiterate the captain said that you need to have this done by tomorrow.
Yeah. And if it's dark, then maybe we're not as conspicuous while we're carrying this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would it glow? Just out of curiosity?
Glow?
Yeah. The chemicals that are being used for this. Oh,
no, they're in metal pressurized cylinders.
Right. Okay.
The cylinders are brightly coloured, but the yellow one might stand out a bit in dim light, but it gets very dark.
Fair enough.
Jerry will say, Captain said it had to be done tonight, so I'm going to have to go tonight.
Alright, let me grab my belongings and explosives and put that on out. And I just sort of head upstairs.
In the room, is there anything stick-like?
There are a number of things that are stick-like.
Burn.
Legs of chairs and tables.
Yeah, there's broken chairs and tables kicked into the corner in what we can only assume was Psyche in a bit of a huff. Having to do so much housework.
Timi's going to
this is cleaning.
And grab a couple of, in fact 3 chair legs if she can find them, and chuck one each at Mary. And remembering her trauma from the last time she was on land, is going to say, just hold on to these. You might need them.
Giving them chair legs.
Fleur's gonna take it and look at Timi and go, "Why do we need a chair leg?"
They burn.
Okay.
And is just going to give like a knowing nod, but doesn't want to say too much because she doesn't want to frighten Jerry because he's only just got off the boat.
Okay. By this point, Jerry does feel a lot better about the whole concept of solid ground. You know, not necessarily like great, but better. For the purposes of the game, he no longer has a level of suffering.
Okay.
He feels all right with solid ground. It's still not his friend.
Well, yeah, all wood burns. We've experienced plenty of that, but what specifically are these for? Any sort of brandishes the chair like?
So at night, you might come across things, and you've got your gun, but you might find that adding a bit of light to the situation might help. I don't know how much canon we want to go into the cucumber. So obviously Timmy's going to be aware of I can't even remember what they're called. Terrifying
Badgers.
rotter things.
Yeah, you're going to be aware of glowers and radgers and fockers and ridgeons and all the wonderful things that live out in the dark.
Oh my.
So she would have been aware of the, I think they were the glowers they came across last time, which don't like fire. Okay, thank you.
To be fair, most things that are alive that have eyes don't like fire.
So being aware that obviously Jerry hasn't been on land before, just saying, well, we've got a couple of shipmates that are a bit rotten, and you've looked after them, you've cared for their souls, but maybe their souls haven't been cared for quite as well here, and if they chase us, you're going to want to burn them. Find her.
Okay.
For us.
So yes, you have had explained to you that there are horrible things on the land that will eat your soul, and you might want fire. Yes. So
after a couple of minutes, I come down with like a satchel and my lab coat and just tighten my belt a little bit more, and I just go all set.
Cool. So yeah, we're all gonna head off into the darkness then.
Yeah.
Anything you want to do before you do?
Grab the things that we're supposed to bring with us, and I will prepare just in case some sandwiches for the team in case they're hungry.
My headcanon is just literally rip open the dinner rolls and you shove the uneaten meatballs.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a few left over back in the kitchen just in case of second servings, and I wrap them up in the plastic aluminum foil and just put them in the bag and just go lunch if you need it.
Well, we've got these chair legs. Have we actually got anything we can light them with?
I would say that you'd probably be able to start a fire.
I
mean, Syke would probably be using fire to cook on.
Yeah, I might have would it be a gas stove or electric?
You'd probably be cooking over an actual fire. If you had a gas stove, you'd probably be going, "Hey, I've got a sealed container of gas. This is explosive." Hey.
Yeah, that's true. I probably got then bunch of some matchboxes and stuff like that, so I could like grab a matchbox and bring it with us.
So you're gonna like dip the chair legs in the oil that he's painting his like oiled screens with or something. That would work, you know. You could wrap a bit of like odd cloth around it.
Yeah.
Dip it in oil.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Completely.
So, upon doing all this and stepping out of the front door, who's lighting their torch? Or is anyone lighting their torch?
I volunteer. Just, I don't know, maybe explosive and pyrotechnics could work together hand in hand. But I go ahead and I guess I try to light each one.
You're going to light everyone's torches?
What do we want? Do we want to just light one for now and save the couple for later, or do we want to just light them all right now? Or do we want to do it when will there be enough light without the torches just to be able to see in the night?
It does get very dark. There is no street lighting. Yeah, it's light. It's nighttime in the old sense of the word. You know, no goddamn light apart from the stars and the moon.
Right. Fair
So
enough. Okay. So then probably lighting at least one would be useful.
Yeah.
Whoever's carrying those, and he nods to the two canisters carried by Zeke. Probably shouldn't be carrying an open flame. Sounds
Points to that man.
counterintuitive.
You know, you're probably right, and I sort of hand the matchbox to him.
Excellent. So who is lighting a torch? And whose torch?
Well, I handed it over to Jerry.
Yeah.
The matchbox, so it's up to Jerry, I guess.
I suppose, as he doesn't know, like the layout of the local area, Jerry will like Timmy's, assuming that Mudsiders all come from this sort of area anyway.
Fair enough. Yes. As you actually give me a D12 roll. Just a standard D12 roll.
1.
Yeah, you light this match. At which point, at the very moment that the flame bursts into life, you recall that the mittens that you're holding it with are oiled. And you just throw it at Timmy's torch. While you pat your hand frantically. As a small fire bursts into life between your thumb and forefinger. You managed to beat the flame out, but you know. And Timmy's torch does burst into life. If anyone, for anyone who didn't notice the fire on his hand, it looked dead slick. He lit a match and just went thump and just threw it, and it hit the thing he wanted it to hit, and it looked epic.
That was pretty
But
cool.
Jerry is aware that he set fire to his hand.
I would be worried if Jerry wasn't aware.
Oh yes, but Jerry is acutely aware that he set fire to his sacred oil skins. The things protecting him from the evils of the mud side.
I think at this point Jerry is deep in a repentant prayer over the accidental lighting of these oil skins.
Yeah. Praying to the spirits of sea and tide. But yeah, you head on out into the dark. Give me perceptions. You're walking around in the dark.
Oh god.
We do have a lit torch though, right?
Oh yeah.
6.
4.
God.
6.
So with a 30, that's plus 3? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. 12.
Okay. You salty folk, you hear cockle. You You strain your ears here, listening for anything at all, and all you hear is like the soft lapping of the water against the front, and it calms you. You know, you can hear water sort of lapping against something. That's nice. You've heard that sound for a long time. It's lulled you to sleep many a night. Psyche, you on the other hand, you hear people moving in the night. Not close, but they're there. You know, you hear the voices of sort of older men.
What?
You know, like
What are the
gravelly
voices
older
doing?
voices.
Sure. What are the voices of the old men doing?
They just seem to be sort of shouting at each other. You know, you can't really make out words. You can just hear that these are men shouting. You know, kind of like if you pass a sports venue at great distance, you can just hear there are people shouting. But yeah,
I sort of just sort of give like a noise, and I hear some screaming in the distance. I don't think they hear us or them coming for us. It doesn't seem near, but I would just say we keep on our toes. What compass direction is this noise coming from?
it's coming from the east.
Okay, it's coming from the east. We'll just veer a little west then. Still go straight, but
No, you need to go east.
okay. Well then I will go like. We should probably see if we can go at it. Now, when we go east, is this still in town or is this not still in town?
This will actually head you through the town. You are
Okay.
You've walked out of your tavern onto what was presumably the main road through this town.
Okay. So then, if that's the case, then I would like to recommend like just sort of like maneuvering between buildings and just going through narrow alleyways or areas and stuff like that, and just sort of keep like a sharp eye out.
Okay, so you want to sort of try and stay like the street behind the front, sort of thing.
Yeah, sort of like that.
Yeah.
Stealth around the best we can, given the fact that I'm 7 foot tall. We have explosive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you make your way along, and you find like a very narrow, old-fashioned road with like a flint wall, and you head on up that until you're sort of the next street back from the seafront. Christ, that was a noise. And pretty soon you find yourself in a graveyard.
Okay.
With a very large, very ruined church. You know, impressive, big church, you know. At this point, it's probably about, 1,500 years old.
It's a good age.
Yeah.
Are we getting closer to big boomy thing?
You're going roundabout, but yeah, you're a bit closer.
I'm just gonna. Do we wanna do? I sort of turn to the group and say, do we want to like loot this baby, or do we just want to like sort of go towards big boomy shoot thing? I don't know what a church would have to stop explosives, but who knows?
We should definitely carry on towards that thing over there. As we wander through this graveyard, can I make a knowledge check to see if I know what these things are? Because assumably the salties are just chucked overboard.
Yeah. The salties tend to just chuck their bodies into the kelp farms and things.
I am not so smart.
Nope.
But that is still a 12 overall.
You tragically misconstrue what these things are. You see they have names on them, and as a salty, You are shockingly literate. You can probably read several languages, if only partially. Due to the makeup of salty crews, having come from various places around the world before being abandoned on oil rigs. So yeah, you make out what these things are, and you make out their names and birth dates and death dates. But you tragically misconstrue these as stones holding these people down. You are absolutely sure that these stones are placed here to kill those people. These people were buried under these stones. You're absolutely sure that the barbarians of the Mudside have killed these people and buried them under heavy stones to make sure they don't come back. Because if you were a salty, the only reason you'd engrave a stone, and you'd say when someone died, is if you were going to tie it to them and throw it overboard. It would be like a curse. Surely if you wanted to keep their memory alive and do something pleasant, it would be something buoyant and light. Like wood. Or a balloon.
As we go through this graveyard, you'll just hear Jerry going, "Bloody Mudside savages."
Also, it kind of offends your sensibilities that the dates aren't in the salt calendar. They're all from the pre-desolation calendar, not the Salties' sacred salt calendar.
Out of interest, how does the salt calendar go?
The salt calendar is literally just the number of days since the salt calendar started. It's literally it's like a ship's log. It's just literally like day 12, day 11,916, sort of thing. I worked it out once. It was great fun. But yeah. This seems to be 4-number dates, which is just weird. And it keeps saying year.
Godless heathens.
Yeah. Clearly. As you get to the other end of this graveyard, you look back and you notice that this large church, which is presumably very ancient at this point, has clearly been hit with a large shell. The eastern edge of this church is blackened and shattered. Whatever these people were doing with this big cannon, at some point they clearly fired it inland and hit this church.
Just going to point it and go, that doesn't look good.
No. And there are large sort of you realise that the ground you're standing on by the light of the torch is ashy and burned.
Oh, okay.
The savagery of the Mudsiders can't.
Yeah, it's terrible.
This, well, we are about to find out where that shell came from. Can we make out where that shell came from? What direction? I know it's east, but more specifically,
More specifically, it came from east-southeast.
Okay.
So, it's not directly that way. It's sort of there, sort of thing. As you head along, you're pulling sort of alongside it. But now you can hear those voices you heard earlier are definitely directly south of you. They've been coming this way as you've been going towards them, sort of thing. You've come slightly to the north of them, but they're definitely spreading along the front. They're spreading along the waterfront.
Okay. I guess we carefully continue to that and not die. Maybe not die. Please don't die.
What are you guys doing? We know what the psych is intending to not die.
And slowly make our way over there.
Is everyone following the large fellow?
Reluctantly,
Definitely.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you head out the graveyard and you step into like a narrow road between two collapsed buildings, which goes on for some time. These buildings are quite sort of they're fairly close together, and with sort of the collapsed rubble, it's been very well picked over. You can see where people have like dug into it over the years. It's probably not much more than twice Sykes' width, sort of in terms of a walkway, unless you want to climb over the piles of rubble. And you emerge at an intersection of old roads. And as you look directly south, you can see the sea. You can see the spit of land coming out round it, that has this cannon on. And you see a little further to the east, there's what presumably at some point was some kind of lock system to keep this lagoon full. And there's lit torches along it. This is clearly where these men who've been wandering off that way have come from. As you stand here, you can see torches ranging back off to the west as clearly little silhouetted groups of men search the waterline.
Is the lagoon still full?
Yes.
Okay.
God knows what it's full of. But
That's
the gates don't open, so...
So... Guess we go around the lagoon and continue on towards big boomy shoot thing, because I don't know what we would do.
If we carry on, are we going to meet these people who are searching?
You've actually passed them.
Okay.
They're further off to the west now. They're ranging down towards the tavern. They've clearly fired their cannon out to sea, and they are scouring the seafront to see if anything's washed in.
Okay. So, if we are at like, where if this lagoon was a clock, are we at like 9 o'clock or?
Yeah, you're probably on sort of 8:30, 9.
The big boomy thing is on the bank of this or further away.
The big boomy thing it's on a separate spit of land. You have the river inlet you were walking along. You have a spit of land that comes out around and a lagoon inside there.
Okay.
You're on this side of the lagoon. The cannon is on the other side.
Are there any boats sort of by the water's edge?
There are some like little raft-like craft, but there's nothing you would consider a boat.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a few things that might be masts sticking out of the water the other side of the lock, but they appear to be sticking out of the water, as opposed to sitting proudly atop a watercraft.
Okay, so there will be nothing that I go, aha, we'll cross on this.
No. You could walk across the top of the lock. The lock gates are shut.
Does it look sort of slippery and slick, or in the torchlight is it glistening? The question should be, I suppose.
Not particularly.
And are we going to be spotted really obviously up there?
Doesn't seem precisely unlikely that the thing you can see from some distance away would possibly illuminate you if you walked across it. That said, there are parties of people with torches wandering around on the seafront. one more party of people with torches wandering back towards where they came from.
We're not that conspicuous. Yeah, fair enough.
Might not be the strangest thing in the world.
We're more likely to get caught if we just kind of stand and faff.
Yeah.
So Timi is going to head on over and use the lock.
Okay. Everyone give me a sneak.
Oh, shit.
How sneaky are we being?
Ooh, this I can do.
What a
Things we
dramatic
can
check.
do.
Do you know what? I'm going to use a legendary point. I have rolled a grand total of 3 ones in the last half hour.
Nice. Okay.
Got an 8.
I've got an 11 total.
9.
Okay. Yeah, you walk down to the seafront with your torch, out before you. Psych, for the meantime, for the moment, has the good sort of the good sense to stay out of the light. And by the time you get to the lock, however, Psych's caught up. His legs are longer than yours. He walks faster.
Just was strolling on down.
Yeah. Timi, is desperately trying to creep. She's trying to, match the gait of, the little silhouettes she can see over there somewhere. She's channeling old man sort of thing. She's walking along like her knees are a bit stiff. She's holding the torch behind her head so it doesn't cast any light on her face. She's doing all the right things, except when she does this, she's illuminating the faces of the people walking behind her. All 3 of you lot, as you stroll bold as brass into the firelight. Shit. Yeah, you are almost instantly spotted because they crit. And the men on the seafront start sort of shouting and pointing. And every so often, it's sort of a popping whiz of some kind of projectile shoots past you.
Throw a grenade at them.
Alright.
Just
Balls
pull
to the
one
wall?
that- Yeah, screw it. I mean, they're in a boat. They're kind of like some ducks.
Well, they're walking on a seafront.
Oh, okay. Well, if they're walking on the seafront, they might be a little bit. I don't know. I'm gonna throw a grenade either way just to see if I can get some.
Yeah. Okay. Throw your grenade.
Right.
This will not be an easy check. These people are far enough away that they are silhouettes in firelight.
Crit.
Jesus. Yeah, you
plus 3. Crit plus 3.
Okay, sweet. What kind of grenade are you throwing? Because I seem to recall you had different ones.
I have a couple of different ones, and I was looking at maybe just doing a good old big, regular grenade because it does a little bit more damage.
Okay, yeah. You pull out something that looks like a can of baked beans, with a toothbrush sticking out the top. You yank the toothbrushy looking thing off the top. It starts fizzing, and you throw it as hard as you can, and the rest of you see his muscles sort of stretch and ripple under this lab coat. It's some proper $1 Million Man Ripley shit. And you see this the fizz starts to glow, and then sparks start emerging from the top of this can. And you see it just sail on a flat trajectory, a good sort of 400-500 meters into the gut of someone carrying a torch, and 500 meters away you still hear the oof of a man being hit in the gut with a metal can. And screw it, you've been watching because I've been describing what you've been seeing. So everyone take a reflex save.
Even me?
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, you.
Yeah, alright.
30-11.
That's a crit.
Nice.
14.
11.
11. Yeah. Okay, yeah. You all have the good sense to close your eyes after you hear the oof. And, yeah. Everything is illuminated by an incredibly bright light. And an absolutely positively gut-wrenching boom.
Should I roll the damage, or...?
Yeah.
Hey, full damage, 14.
Yeah. Everyone roll a d4.
Me too?
Yep.
Alright.
4.
1.
2.
Just had to grab one real quick. 1.
That's the number of drops of blood that land on you. The poor bastard you hit is vaporized. Along with some of his mates. Stray droplets of blood hit you 500 meters away. Only a few because of the distance. But yes. You could no longer see a group of people standing behind you, angrily shouting. You could hear a few people angrily moaning. And there are a few parties of men further away, and possibly women, but we're generalising here. We heard angry elder men shouting. But yeah, your way across the lock is apparently clear, and you probably want to keep going.
So, do we go now? Are we good?
I suggest we go.
Yeah, I probably want to
Run.
it with purpose.
Oh, yeah. You're going to move with purpose across the lock. Okay. Psyche, are you still carrying both of the canisters?
Yeah.
Alright. Justify to me some manner of check for running under fire surrounded by flames with the two canisters for a fuel air bomb.
It's not running. It was more like speed walking. It's kind of like one of those things where you're like, the area of a public pool is really wet, but it's starting to rain, and you don't want to run because you're going to slip and fall, but you want to get inside as quick as you can. You're kind of doing a very, like, tiptoe, like running, light speed walking kind of thing.
Okay, give me an explosives check. I will make it easier because you have just justified walking like a prat. The mental image is enough to make it easier for you.
Fair enough. Just slightly cussing each step. Explosives, you said?
Yeah.
Alright. 10.
Yeah, your hurried, purposeful walking, it's not necessarily doing as much good as you hoped. The canisters, you clearly hear them clang together a few times because you've got them like strung over your shoulders. Like,
yeah.
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 You hear them clang together a few times, like not heavily, but in that way that when you're carrying like like two mini
That sounds
kegs,
like
and they clang together, or running with a 6-pack.
Right.
You're not too worried. You're alive. There haven't been any painful booms.
No regrets.
Yeah, but every time you hear them sort of toing, you're like, oh shit. Buttocks clench, teeth are gritted. But yeah, you cross the lock. You appear to be on the correct side now. What are you guys going to do? You're standing on the correct side of this lagoon.
I'm just gonna wipe my hands and admire my hard work, and then start running or not running, but start speed walking towards the big boomy thing.
Okay. What's everyone else doing?
Yeah, I guess we're also going towards the big boomy thing. That's is the mission.
Yeah, as we go, I think Joe would be extra conscious to keep on the lookout for more of these land devils.
Excellent. Yes. Where are you looking for the land devils? Are you looking ahead? Are you looking behind? Because you know for a fact there are angry land devils behind you.
Sort of on a swivel, like checking behind to make sure they're not getting closer, making sure no torches appear ahead.
Okay. As you look behind, you do see a large party, a large sort of mixed party of men, women, rotters, sort of hobbling along the lock. They seem to be carrying wounded, and weapons. They don't appear to be moving very quickly, but they're definitely sort of advancing.
I throw another grenade.
Okay, go for it. I assume you've made Psych aware of this, or he's just chucking a grenade blindly over his shoulder?
Yeah, he'd sort of go, we best be quick, we've got friends on the way.
Quick, you got it. Alright. Turns around, throws the sucker.
Right.
Come on, baby, give me something good. Alright. It's rolled an 11.
You rolled an 11
Yes.
on the dice.
Plus, yes.
Shit. That's a botch.
Plus 3.
That's a botch.
Yeah.
11 on the dice is a botch.
Okay.
Yeah. You pull out a grenade. What kind of grenade were you pulling out?
The standard one.
Another standard grenade.
Yep.
Yeah. You pull out your grenade. You
Wait,
hoist
so
it behind.
that's a fail?
Yeah, it's a botch. It's a critical fail.
Okay, I'm gonna pull a clumsy.
Excellent. That's absolutely fine. You bring out your clumsy. You pull the grenade out your top pocket where it's been this whole time. It's a nicer looking grenade this time. It's not military issue, but it's more convincing. You pull it out your top pocket. You pull a pin.
Oh, I've been reminded that I could do a legendary point. I could do that. Okay.
You can.
Okay, so 7
Okay.
plus 3 is 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well, clumsy is still evoked, but yep. You've done your 10. You pull out your grenade. You pull the pin. You wind up a big throw. You swing your arm once, like, yep, that's definitely where I want it. And you let go. The grenade sails over your shoulder into the compound with the big boomy thing.
Okay.
You hear a window smash.
Great.
You hear a what?
Ooh.
Who's looking towards the compound? Okay. You see like a small porter cabin like structure, like made of like corrugated iron mainly. Just blow out. The walls just blow out. The roof just falls straight in. The confused sounding sleepy person gives a little scream of pain. And then everything goes quiet. There's a lot of smoke. Yeah. There seems to be a small fire starting underneath the roof.
Oh, that's good. That's we wanted to build that. We wanted to build that up, right? Yeah. I'm just nobody's against it. I just see people coming towards us, and I just go like shit, and I just pull another one and throw it.
Someone help him.
I throw. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
Okay, 12. Okay.
You got 12. Sweet.
Yes.
What kind of grenade are you throwing?
Still, just a good old reliable.
A good old reliable. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You throw this grenade once again, like it's back on your classic form. You know, you take your arm back, you aim over your thumb, you chuck it. You know, flat trajectory, straight once again. You see it catch someone in the shoulder, and as they do, they spin round into the huddle of people behind them and fall. And once again, you guys now have got. You guys now all have got the drill now for when one of these grenades goes off. There is an enormously bright flash of light, and a large wave spreads out. There appears to be a break in the lock. Now the lagoon is emptying. Like only a few feet out of the top are missing. You don't need to roll damage.
Oh,
you can if you want.
Oh, well, you know, just for something to do. That's gonna be 11.
Yeah, that's cool. There's a hole in the top of the lock gate now, you know, and there are a lot of wounded people being thrown off the top of this lock gate now into the much lower water level of the river inlet, because it's heading to low tide, because it was high tide when you came in a few hours ago. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the lock gate's not going to ever be the same. And all the remaining angry people are now the other side of a torrent of rushing water. So yeah, you've secured your position against the people rushing across behind you. You've cut off your only means of escape, but hey.
Fleur's gonna look at everyone and go, Captain said we had to be away when it went boom. How are we gonna get away?
We'll figure that out. You know, here. If you want, you guys can figure it out. I can go ahead and set the explosives and give us a little time before it starts.
Do we know if there's anyone else in there?
Do we care about those people? I thought we were trying to just blow up a thing and be out of there. Like that.
But you know, there might be people in there that can explain why they've been shooting at us and you.
But Timi, they've been shooting at us because the land devils, the mudsiders.
Themselves.
They ain't got no reason. They just do.
Quick question about the escape route. How's it busted? How can we not escape anymore?
Essentially, what you've done is you've blown a few feet out of the top of a lock gate.
Mm-hmm.
The lagoon on one side of the lock gate is full of water.
Oh,
the other side of the lock gate is several feet lower.
Okay.
So approximately sort of 4 square miles of water is now emptying itself over the top of this lock gate where you've busted it.
Right. And we couldn't swim that, or?
No. It'd be kind of like trying to swim over a waterfall.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And isn't the sea like acid?
Yeah. The sea is awful. Don't go in the sea.
Okay, so long story short is let's see, maybe a boat. Is there a boat?
You did see several rafts in the on the sea side of the lagoon.
Okay.
Almost
Are they
like
still
they gather
there,
things
or
on the
are
seafront and float them across on rafts.
Oh, okay. Is it still there, or has it been blown up?
No, these wouldn't be attached to the lock gate. These would be attached to the moorings on either side.
Oh, okay, so we're good.
Yeah, in theory, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, if you
okay.
want to get on a rickety ass raft, but yeah.
I mean, is it better than the alternative?
It depends if you can move the rickety ass raft. Otherwise, it's not an alternative. It's staying next to the explosion and dying.
Okay, well, alright, so then, alright. I'm gonna just make sure the rafts are still there, and I guess we'll just go in. I don't think we're gonna be able to save anybody. Let's just blow this to high hell and just go.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, as you walk away from the lock gate, you notice there are a lot of these sort of like ramshackle buildings. Of course, it's night time, so
Right.
a few of them have lights on. Most of them don't. There's sort of the smell of there's the smell of like a large, well cooked dinner, like wafting across on like and wood smoke. Yeah. Clearly, whoever was here has eaten well recently. But apart from that, it just seems to be a cluster of buildings around this enormous cannon. I mean, you could sneak in.
Sneak in after a grenade?
Yeah. As I said, there are some with lights on, there are some that aren't. I mean, there doesn't appear to be a lot going on. I mean, apparently these people slept through the cannon going off.
So if they've slept through the cannon, surely if we just walk in, they're not going to notice.
Yeah. Well, if you're sneaking, that implies you're making some effort to not be seen, as well as not be heard.
Yes, sneak is probably our best bet, because we don't know how many there are still in the camp. And these bloody mudsiders don't seem to have any hospitality.
Yeah. You do notice that this camp is more brightly lit than you've seen anything else so far on the land. It's still not very well lit, but they seem to have put some emphasis on keeping some lights out. As you saw with the lock, it was lit all the way along. Like most people seem to have a torch like burning outside their house, if only so they can find the door.
Sneak is definitely a good option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Guess we roll in sneaks.
Mm-hmm.
10.
I rolled a 1!
Same.
Yeah, I've got a really good bonus to my sneak. It's like +6. But that's a botch.
Oh.
Excellent. Right, so we've got a botch. Who's next worst?
I'm going to burn my last legendary point to try and
Okay, yeah.
fix that. Thank goodness for humans.
I rolled a 1. I think that's a botch as well.
No, that's just a really bad result.
Oh, okay, 2.
Yeah, one just sucks.
The reroll is a 13.
Excellent. Yeah. So Jerry vanishes into the night. You just sort of, you see him sort of look at you, look back. He just kind of goes, "I am the night," and just backs into a shadow and vanishes. You just sort of see his rifle emerge like over rooftops as he makes his way.
I rolled a 1 and I'm going to burn a legendary point
Okay.
to make it slightly better. That's 10 in total.
10 in total. Yeah, you you just sort of walk into town. You're making some effort not to be seen. Like, you flit across the open doorways, and you try and stay out of like bright light, but no more than someone who's sort of coming home late, pissed. You're being careful not to make too much noise, but you're not making much effort not to be seen. Baylor, what was your result? 2, wasn't it?
2.
Yeah. You just walk in. You might even be humming that merry tune to yourself again. You're thinking about, I've got to throw some grenades. That's pretty funny.
Got more coming up.
Yeah. You walk along, you're chuckling to yourself. You might even be unwrapping a sandwich. I believe you said you wrapped them in foil.
Yeah.
So, it makes a big old rustling noise. And you eat it like, God damn, that's good. Timi, you did well, didn't you?
No, 10.
10. Yeah. So, similarly to Fleur. In fact, you seem to be taking your cues from Fleur in this one. So, yeah, you're just sort of... You're like a pair of drunk teenagers sneaking home. You don't want to necessarily walk in the complete darkness because you're aware that you're a little clumsy. But, you get in there. But despite all this, no one seems to hear you. You do, however... Oh, fuck no. You do have You see someone come out of one of the buildings. It appears to be someone very old. Gender at this point is almost meaningless. They're in sort of a shapeless dressing gown. Their hair is long, but you're aware in this sort of world that doesn't mean much. They have all the wrong curves in all the wrong places. And it appears this person stepped out for a smoke. And then you see them step out of their door with a pipe, and a little piece of wood, and they stick it in the torch by their front door, and they light up. And they haven't noticed you at all because they botched.
I try to knock them out.
You try to knock them out.
Yes.
At least it's not on a rooftop.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, didn't I mention this building is...
Oh no!
Yeah, this building is in fact sort of smack dab, pretty near as damn it, sort of smack dab across like a small bit of like open ground from the base of this cannon. Weston steps out. They light their pipe. They take a few good puffs on it. Whatever's in there is incredibly pungent. It either smells fantastic or terrible, depending on what your opinion of smoking is. It smells very, shall we say, herbal. After a few puffs, they seem to relax a little. Their horrible slumped shoulders slump a little further. You hear a sigh. At this point, Psyche just walks up to them, making no effort to be concealed whatsoever, and attempts to lay them out. What are you trying to lay them out with?
I'm just gonna try to knock them out with my big old hands and just like back in the head.
Okay, yeah, just make an unarmed attack then.
I'm pretty good because I'm a post-genetic. We have I guess I'm trying to do a brick fists in this way, I guess.
Yeah.
Or okay. I don't know what my bonus is for brick fists, but I guess I just.
It's just
roll
a damage.
Alright. Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to see if I do it successfully first, then.
Yeah.
Or okay.
You have to hit them.
Okay, so I assume strength.
Yeah, it's strength and unarmed. It should be
okay.
the number after unarmed.
Ah, yes, I see it. Okay.
Pow.
15. I rolled a 10.
Okay, yeah. Roll your d6 damage. Plus 5.
plus 5?
Yep.
8.
Okay. Yeah, you swing a fist at this wizened elderly person quietly enjoying a smoke, and you hit them. So you hit them in the neck, which isn't necessarily the best place to punch someone, and they just sort of go crunch. And this poor person just sort of folds around your fist.
I didn't realize they were old. I'm sorry.
Yeah, their head flops back on the back of your hand as their knees buckle.
Oh, shit.
And this poor person just flops forward. And as you stand there, you notice that their pipe has started to set fire to their dressing gown. It's smouldering away. It's a damp old raggy thing. It will take a long time for a decent blaze to occur, but no, it's smouldering.
I'll just pat it out real quick before it gets any worse, and just turns to the group and goes, "I am so sorry. I just panicked. I didn't realize it was an old person. I just know we were in a mission trying to blow up a dangerous thing. I haven't been in this kind of situation before. I just scavenged, okay? The grenades are usually to blow up pathways." That was like a first for everything. It's just like I have such a euphoria going on right now.
You just see Jerry there from the shadows going, "Bloody savages."
Hey, as you walk away from your murder site, you give me a perception. Everyone, perceptions. Round of perceptions.
7.
12.
12.
10.
Excellent. That 12, you hear a gasp. And assuming you look back, you see a really decrepit older man kneeling over this broken body, having stepped out of his front door, just like rolling over this old lady. Cradling her in his arms and crying openly and unashamedly. He doesn't appear to have heard you. And he hasn't noticed you yet.
Can I... the problem is, if I shoot him, it will make a noise and probably wake other people up.
It's gonna go.
So...
And
your alternative is what?
My alternative is beat them to death with my rifle.
So that we don't have to beat somebody to death with a rifle, because that's quite noisy. Timi is going to go up to the poor crying old man and just kind of put her arm around him. So, I'm really sorry. I know. Let's go over this way. See if we can't find someone to.
As you place your hand on his shoulder, he just looks up in terror. He doesn't appear to have heard what you were saying.
Okay. So, how many other people around us?
No, it's just this one guy holding his deceased, presumably wife, girlfriend, partner of some description, and you've placed your hand on his shoulder, and he's terrified.
Okay. So Timmy's going to continue kind of making like soothing gestures, just body language, trying to kind of give off this idea that it's okay, and she's there to help. And just like as she's kind of soothing him, she's just going to take the nail gun.
He raises his right hand and makes a sort of vaguely threatening gesture.
Yeah,
You're not
she's
entirely sure what it means.
And just pull the trigger.
Okay, yeah, you shoot him in the head with a nail gun. I don't think there's anything more that needs to be said there. You coup de grace a deaf old man with a nail gun. There we are.
I just
As if we ever had to wonder if Timi could go an episode without committing an atrocity. So yeah, you have a pair of dead old people.
I take the pipe.
You take the pipe. It's still got a little bit of a glow in the bowl. It still smells pungent.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take a handkerchief and just wipe off the place where you puff it and just put it out real quick. So it's cool looking.
It is cool looking.
I felt really bad, but now that I saw that happen, I have grown numb. So let us go ahead and just try not to kill it. Well, you know what? We're actually probably going to kill a lot more people. So let's go ahead and plant the bomb before we on purposely kill people as opposed to accidentally. Yeah?
Yeah. The base of the cannon's meters away.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go ahead and
less than 20.
I start setting up. I walk over there and start setting up the bomb.
Okay. Yeah. Justify to me something. This is, to be fair, this is a bomb you haven't used before. Give me a tech use.
Okay.
If any of the rest of you want to try and help in this endeavour, the captain didn't actually explain to you necessarily how to use this bomb.
I am proficient in explosives, so I do everything. +2
Yeah.
from that.
I also have a tech key, so I've got Gadget Man as well, so I'm going to help.
Sweet.
Okay, so let's see. Does that mean I get like advantage or something, or
Nope. It just
It
means
just
it'll be
rolls
slightly easier. Well, it means you have bigger bonuses to things as well.
Okay, so let's see. Hey, that's pretty good. 15.
15, yeah. You recognise this at first sight. So you have a vague idea of what you should be doing. I mean, it seems a fairly novel design. But you've only got 2 of the 3 parts. So you sight them and you try and put the 2 things together. But it becomes quite clear that they're meant to screw into the 3rd part.
Oh yes. Third part, please.
That
Anybody?
would be me.
Oh, thank you.
And I hand that one over.
Much appreciated, Timmy. And I go ahead and actually do the thing.
Okay, yeah. You try and screw them together, but it becomes clear after a few moments, sort of, which way? God damn it! That when these 2 cylinders clang together, one of the fittings on the top bent slightly, like the thread got stripped a bit. So one screws in, and the other one just sort of grates for a bit. Like if you put some real welly into it, you could probably get it round onto the thread.
Could I roll a repair check?
Yeah, well, any of you could. You could, if you want to defer to someone of greater expertise or get help from your group.
Fleur is going to come over and go, yeah, this looks like a job for me.
All right.
Of course, forcing the thread would probably create a spark.
Yeah. Let's not do that. That is a 10.
Ooh.
Actually, no, I've got one more legendary point.
Okay.
I'm going to burn it.
Throw it on.
That's better. That is 16.
16. Yeah, you pretty much just sort of you take like a screwdriver out of your sleeve, because why would you ever go anywhere without a screwdriver up your sleeve?
Absolutely.
And it's just a flathead screwdriver, and you jam it in to the valve at the top, and you just run it round, like halfway, and it just pops the lip with the thread on back out. It's like, crink! Whew! It's like, you wouldn't trust it to hold, but you've only got to screw it in once.
That should do it. Try now. And then she backs well away.
Yeah.
Is there like a thing where I can set a timer for it, or like?
Yeah, there is, on the central unit there is a big, bright digital display, and there is like a volume knob and a button.
Okay. I'm going to set it for 20 minutes.
As you turn it, it just simply has like a single digit display, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, I set it for the max amount.
So you turn it to 9.
Yes, and then I start it and I place it under. So it's
Surely
like,
we want a shorter fuse than that.
well, do you want to get away?
Ideally, but Captain said that this needed to go down, and we don't want anyone interfering with it.
Well, that's why I'm hiding it.
Captain also said we needed to be miles away when it went off. A long way away.
Yeah. So the more minutes we have, the better. Could I do like a, while I'm placing it and starting it, could I do like what would be something close to, I guess, like maybe a sneak check to see if I can hide it as like a makeshift sleight of hand? To see if I can just hide it to make sure nobody can find this bomb?
Yeah, I mean, you could do a sneak to try and find a decent hiding place. You could do an explosives to find the best place to put it to demolish the cannon. Which you could then just like chuck something over. It depends what your focus is. I mean, you've now set a timer. You've pressed go.
Okay,
like,
while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you just going to bury it in some dross? I mean, there's lots of just like random crap around the base of this cannon.
I'm probably going to do an explosives check just to see where it would be the most practical way of like, okay, this is where I would hide a bomb. So, explosive knowledge. Okay.
I mean, you other guys, you can chime in on this.
Yes.
Yeah, I think using his expert secreting things away that people probably shouldn't find because it's unbefitting of a creature to possess certain objects.
Porn stash.
He is well accustomed to stashing things away. So, using his sneak.
I hand it over to you.
That is a 14.
Okay. Well, it's just that he's found a good way to hide it. You're still looking for a place to sight it. If anyone else wants to assist with like sighting it or hiding it, that's cool too. You're all working together as a team. Collaborative efforts.
I will help just because I know bombs, so I may know where to hide
Well,
them.
you give a roll as well. Like,
Okay.
He's basically like just gone like, here's a good piece of corrugated iron, like we can fold around it, like here's a bit of tarp we can hide under layer over that.
And I will use explosives just to use the knowledge base to go like, that's a practical hiding spot. That's okay, cool. 10.
10. Yeah, you basically he picks up this like this slab of like filth and goes like, we can hide it here. It's like there's a good hole under this piece of filth. And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Like, you don't see anywhere better to put it.
Yeah.
Screw it, why not?
Yeah.
The other two of you go along with this?
Yes, so while they're doing that,
Yeah, he's putting the bomb off, like directly to one side of the barrel. The barrel is a long thing sticking up into the air like this, and he's putting it here.
So Timmy's going to try to convince Jerry that it's okay to leave this slightly longer timer, and just say to them, well, what you could do is, you could maybe use your connection, your spiritual connection, to maybe pray and make sure that we are covered by the gods of salt. And make sure these heathens don't find the bomb, so we have time to escape and our souls are safe.
It's mighty brave of you, Timi, to volunteer to stay and make sure that the heathens don't find this bomb. You're doing the captain's will and, by extension, the will of the salt gods.
What are you suggesting there, Jerry?
Has the timer started at this point?
Yes.
Well, the best way to keep them at bay is to keep them at bay, if you know what I mean.
Jerry, please don't beat around the bush while there's a timer going on a bomb.
You're suggesting I stay here with the bomb?
Well, now you've said it, that's a very good idea.
After a few moments, you notice that the bomb is hissing. There is a very loud hissing sound coming from the bomb.
Let's going to take one look at it, go, I don't like the sound of that, and just leg it.
Yeah.
After a few more seconds, you notice there's sort of a hazy grey cloud emerging from underneath the hiding spot for this bomb.
We run.
Yeah.
Legging it even faster.
Go to the raft.
Okay. All of those of you who are going to attempt to take attempt to run very hard away from this bomb. The girl said they would run first, so the last two of you, reflex saves, please. Who ran second? Out of you fellas.
I immediately ran, the moment I saw smoke.
Cool. Okay. So Jerry, take an exposure.
Exposure.
Take an exposure. Do the salt gods protect you?
13.
No, they don't. As you turn and start to run, the cloud envelops you, and your eyes start to burn, your throat starts to close up. A smell like old diesel gets in your nose, and you start to cough, and then you're out. You're on the other side of this cloud. You're back out of it, and it starts to spread. It hits the ground and starts to spread out more. But yeah, you're perfectly aware that cloud is nothing to fuck with. You don't want to be anywhere near that.
Yeah, no, gone as fast as my unused to land legs will take me.
Okay, yeah. You guys are running at night through unfamiliar terrain. What do you want to argue? You want to argue perceptions for looking where you're going, physical endurance for running, continuing to run?
I'm gonna say.
Do you have some novel plan?
I do. Let's run to the raft and go.
Okay. You knew where the rafts were because you were looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else, do you notice Psyche making a break for the rafts?
I try to make it clear for the whole team. I go hey, there's rafts over here.
Oh yeah, but the ladies ran before you started, and possibly in a totally different direction.
I will, if you're saying there's a way to safety, not knowing the ways of the land, I will run after him and physical endurance.
Yeah.
To keep
ladies, perception. Did you hear him shouting this?
I did not. 6 in total.
Woo.
12 in total.
No, neither of you heard him. You've you know that the lock is buggered, so you've made a straight line back to down the spit of land, away from this cannon. You'll find your way back to sea at some point, hopefully, but you definitely don't want to be near this. But yeah, Jerry, you pound on along next to Syke. I mean, he's running faster than you. He doesn't have lungs full of accelerant. But yeah, you pound your way onto this crappy old raft. I assume someone has something sharp to hack through the mooring lines with. Or do you just end up shooting at them? There is not time to untie them.
No, I think it's just going to have to be shoot the mooring lines through, unless Syke has got something at a sharp implement.
Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you shoot the lines. Give me a roll just to make sure you don't botch.
No, I don't botch, but that's still 3.
Excellent. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you're shooting at a rope, a foot away. I'll let you just shoot a rope. Yeah, you pull the trigger, the rifle goes off, the rope parts, and small blue flames play back up your rifle onto your arms and spread over you, completely enveloping you. But they burn out after a few moments. But it was very hot. It was quite uncomfortable. Yeah, clearly whatever you were coated in was not great. You just sort of like an aerosol can fire. When people spray the deodorant on their hand, you just have the flame and then it just dies off. But yeah, you just boom, holy crap. Yeah. So yeah, you guys float back across the river inlet back towards the river, the river mouth. Ladies, you're running in darkness. Perceptions, endurances. What are you
Perception.
Oh, it's a botch.
Ooh.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Timmy, you find you're running along and you see a concrete structure, a solid concrete structure. You go that can withstand a blast. It's recessed into the ground. It's concrete. It's got a concrete roof. It's small. It's solid. It'll do.
Okay. So I will shout to Fleur. Say, we can go over there. That will keep us safe. We just need to get to that.
Yeah. You shout that over your shoulder. You jump into this building. It seems to be full of rotten material mainly. It seems to be mostly actual material, fabric. And you just pull it in over you. You're aware a bomb's about to go off. Fleur, you hear a shout about something about safety, and at this moment, you're not looking at where the shout's coming from. It's dark. The torches, God knows what happened to them. And your ankle catches something on the ground, and you go down like a ton of bricks. And you start to slide down something. It sort of feels like loose earth, maybe sand or gravel. And you start to hear gravel moving around you as you slide down into a gravel pit. Hooray for import-export docks. And the stones start sort of falling around you, and you are quickly buried up to your neck. You have one arm out. And there is a boom. A very big boom. An enormous boom, one might say. The fellas on the raft are hit by a shockwave. An enormous shockwave. Give me any kind of endurance you want to argue. They all probably apply. I mean, poison probably not, unless you want to dive in the water.
I'm going to say endurance physical to sort of hold on to the raft and keep it the right way up.
Okay.
Can.
Yeah. The raft flips. You hit the water. You start to fizz. You can actually feel your hair dissolving. You try to open your eyes to work out which way is up, and they like it turns milky and your vision fades. You emerge from the water into blistering heat, and that's it for you. Zeke, what do you do? A blast wave spreads, a visible blast wave. A solid wave of air hits the water and advances towards your raft. How do you try and survive?
Let's see here. What do I have? My body is... Let's see. How big is the raft compared to me?
You could probably lay down on it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, maybe trying to weigh down the raft or something like that with my body and just sort of spread it. Just, like, try to balance it a little bit. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna lay down... It's an explosion. What is my goal? I'm trying to survive the explosion.
Yeah, it's a very, very large explosion.
Okay.
Very hot fire, very large sound, very large shockwave.
Just gonna Chinese fire drill it. Let's see here. I'm gonna just sort of... Let's see. Just kind of like how... I'm able to lay down on the raft, and I'm going to say that, like, laying down also is lab coat over, and just, like, sort of... Is there, like, a little bump over the raft where I can sort of just...
It's literally just like boards tied together with oil drums underneath.
Oh god, okay.
It's an open raft.
Okay. I'm gonna hold on to the ropes and just sort of like make sure that everything stays intact and try to keep up with dear life, and that is like I think maybe the best I can do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to it and I'm gonna say I'm a big boy and I can do these kinds of things and get away with it.
Okay. Yeah. You hold on to the raft. You lay down. You notice Jerry doing the same. The raft flips over. We've established in canon that the raft flips over. You are submerged. You're dunked into the water. You feel the water starting to bite into your skin.
I immediately try to, while trying to hold on to the ropes, and I still held on to the ropes, I'm going to immediately try to grab on to like an edge of the wood and just try to get on the barrels. And I'm still a big boy, so maybe I can pull myself up, maybe give it a shot.
Yeah, you stick your hand out of the water into blistering hot flames.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get your other arm out, you give me an endurance, any kind of endurance. Yeah, exposure for literally the damage of the flames. Mental for like determination. Endurance for gritting through the pain. What kind do you want to give me? Poison for surviving the water.
I want to give a mental endurance.
Okay.
Um, 11.
Total.
Yes.
Yeah, the pain of these flames is way too much. You can't bring yourself to like pull yourself all the way up. Like your arms are both on top of this thing. Like you're not going anywhere, but you can't possibly bring yourself to pull yourself up. And then all above you feels cool. And the wave has passed. The raft flips over again, and you are brought to the surface with your arms in the water.
Okay,
And you lay there, horribly, horribly burned.
It's fair.
But alive.
Okay. Great.
And 7 hit points poorer from the water. But alive.
Yep, 11 hit points alive.
Yeah. Your arms may never work again, but you are alive.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe.
Oh.
Charge.
Fleur. You're buried all but your head and left arm in a gravel pit. You hear a boom. You see the gravel move and shift. It's thrown in a wave over you. You are buried in gravel. The gravel grows warm. It hurts. It cools down a bit. You still can't breathe. It doesn't matter. You can throw me some physical endurances if you want. You're buried under tons of gravel.
Let's give it a try. You never know.
Yeah.
No. That's a 12 total.
Yeah. You lost an almost unheard of 5.5 minutes. Slightly longer than a capybara can hold its breath. Before suffocating. In scorching hot gravel. Timi!
Okay.
You dive inside this building. You throw some stuff over you to try and shield yourself from the blast. You hear a boom. It smashes in through the doorway of this concrete building. It reverberates around the room. Suddenly things get quiet. You feel the rags you're under start to get very, 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 very hot. You feel yourself scream. But you don't hear it. And that's that for tonight. So yeah, sorry for killing most of you. You ran 7 steps from a fuel air bomb. As Syke lays there on the raft, he sees the cannon fall apart. Jerry would look at it, but he can't see.
Right.
But yeah, that's that. Now we know how Timi lost her hearing.
An obnoxious boom.
Yep. She sat in a very safe, very sturdy, concrete building that functioned as a resonating chamber for an enormous fuel air explosion. The force of the sound of this boom has just destroyed a cannon. Imagine what it does to eardrums.
Awesome.
Yeah. But the important thing to recall, ladies and gentlemen, is that Psyche has survived.
Albeit not 100%, but yes.
Yeah. You know, it's probably about half dead.
Alive. Half alive.
Yeah, half dead, half alive. There we are.
Exactly.
So yes. So, with that optimistic note, that was Monday Night's Get Nuked. That was Rotten near Ooze Town with our fantastic guest Baylor.
Thank you
So,
for having me. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad to have you. Unfortunately, it's just a shame that you couldn't screw up more stealth rolls and have more combat. But oh well.
I lobbed enough grenades to last me a lifetime, I think.
Yeah.
Those were pretty sick grenades.
Yeah. So, we should go through the normal stuff because once again I cannot recall what we say at the end of these things. But yeah, that was when Alexis Newt. I was Thirsty. You can find me on Twitter at thirsty_BTP. You can find me at bloodthirstypuppets.co.uk. At some point you will find me here on Fridays as well because we'll be doing that again. I had great fun. I really wished that I could throw more angry old men at you, but they never got close enough for you to see that they were angry little old men. You never asked anyone what the group was called, so you never found out they were called the Pensioners. And this little group of retired raiders who lived in the shadow of this giant artillery cannon.
We just killed a bunch of fucking old people.
Yeah, you just murdered a post-apocalyptic retirement village. So yeah. Well, since you're the guest, Baylor, go first. Where can we find you? What do you do?
I stream. Excuse me. Let me reset. So on Twitter, you can find me at Bemmie Esports, and I do a lot of professional casting and stuff like that. And then I also played some games on my Twitch, Bemmie_, and it's some speed fun. And then I do some D&D stuff on a YouTube channel called B&B Tavern, where I do a show called Tavern Talk on there. And we take celebrity voice actors from anime and video games and help them create D&D characters for the first time. And it's fun. And yeah, it's great. And I had a wonderful time on it.
Okay. Well, it's great to have you. Anyway, shall we resume the normal order of things? Spanners, where can we find you? Was that good? Was it good for you too?
Awesome. It was really cool. I had absolutely no idea how that was going to pan out with Timi actually losing her hearing, and I figured she was going to get hit over the head with something or something else. But that was brilliant. And you know, we didn't get through another episode without blood-curdling nastiness. So yeah, no, it was really cool. And yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at spanners_BTP or I am Spanners, or just generally hanging around on the internet, blogging and writing. Oh, and on Dark Dice.
Indeed. But yes. Next, Lilth. Go.
I'm Lilth. You can find me on Twitter at Lilth21. Tonight was really good fun. Really good fun. Blew up lots of stuff, which was always fun.
I mean, you had the notable bonus of playing a character you didn't have to care whether they live or died.
Yeah, which is always good. So yeah, as soon as she fell in that gravel pit, I knew she was dead. It's just, it's just going to happen. That botch. I was going to be dead. And yeah, you can also find me on Twitch on Kit Battlebeard's channel on a Monday night at 9 PM. We were supposed to have our season finale this Saturday, which didn't happen because Roll20 went down, so you can find it next Saturday instead.
And what's that campaign called?
That campaign is called Defenders of the Dusk.
Nice.
I should know by now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really should know by now.
We don't judge. Alright, Eivor.
I've been over playing Jerry. Long may Jerry rest in pieces. Perhaps one day we'll find him as a hat. Thought it was really good.
Here was me thinking I wouldn't make any notes. Jerry as a hat.
You can find me on Twitch. Not Twitch, on Twitter at Eivor_DNABC. Here on a Monday night and on things coming soon.
Ooh.
But otherwise in the nebulous north.
Excellent. So yeah, that's that. This was One Nice Get Nuked. Next time we shall be back to the regular flow of things. Alas, possibly without a guest. Boo. But, you know, if we always had them, they wouldn't be special. We'd be spoiling you. So yeah, we'll be back to Rotten Under Roost Town. Hopefully the guys will be confronting Bill and or shooting him in the face without asking him any useful questions. Because, let's face it, you know, plot hooks are overrated. So yeah, cheerio everyone out there in internet land. And, you know, keep gaming. There we are. We're out. You don't have to wave anymore. Yeah, it's outro card, dude. Well, you can keep waving at me, I don't mind. Yes. Oh. I applaud you, Eivor, on playing your character so vastly different from your own. Distrustful and sneaky with a rifle. Wait a minute.
That one before.
Zeke is relatively trusting.
So actually, Zeke is quite trusting.
Yeah, he is.
But he does run away a lot.
Yeah.
And Jerry didn't run away.
Yeah.
He swam away.
Yeah, he didn't get the choice. He did almost not come to land.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Zeke needs. Zeke just needs a strong woman in his life to give him orders.
I need to go back to Rachel's then.
True, there's plenty of strong women there.
Exactly.
But they did pummel him unconscious last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What do you want?
maybe
You want a strong woman? Beat you unconscious with shoes?
Drinking horns?
Yeah, I suppose there is that. But yes. I also managed to play an entire game and not drink all my mead.
Yay.
Hooray, so I have more for later. But yeah, so I will say thank you.
Drinking all that.
It's only as strong as wine. It's only half a litre.
Yeah, it's like 2 glasses.
Yeah.
See, I'm absolute lightweight. I drink like a tiny shot, and that's enough.
I drink Diet Pepsi as far as I go.
It's because the only thing to do in England is drink and moan about the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they say that the drink hop doesn't interact well with the
Weather?
medication.
Just
Ah,
FYI,
okay. I was going to say, I find drinking a lot easier when the weather's bad, but, and also when the weather's good.
Brilliant.
It's highly compatible with the weather.
Yeah, no painkillers.
Oh yeah,
No,
yeah, there is that.
right.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for playing, everyone.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Thanks for joining
Thank
us
you
at
for doing
home.
that.
And if you are watching this on YouTube later, we won't hold it against you. Much. So yeah. Cheerio. Pow.
I always forget that.